On an arid expanse of coastline in western India, the giant smokestacks of what will soon be India's largest power plant loom in the distance. This is the flagship of Adani Power, an infrastructure company that raised 600 million US dollars from the primary market recently to fund its power projects.
It's almost a no-brainer that if India has to achieve a certain economic growth, the economic growth has to precede by infrastructure growth. Various elements are ports, road, power, airport. I think power is possibly unparalleled in terms of what is required now and what is the gap, what will be required over the next 5 to 10 years, and the gap gets widened in next 5 to 10 years. And then also when it achieves mature cycle, I think it will continue to have fairly sustainable and strong demand.
With thermal power plants coming in for criticism over global warming, the 4,600 megawatt plant uses more efficient technology to generate power from coal.
We have gone for supercritical technology. So boiler is supercritical boilers. And that means that almost like less than 5% coal we really burn to get the same amount of power. If you compare with subcritical, that indicates that CO2 emission will be reduced considerably.
But in India, power producers cannot sell electricity directly to consumers, only to government-owned state electricity boards, which are often bankrupt. The private sector is therefore still reluctant to invest heavily in power projects, and the country faces a power shortage of around 13% due to rising demand. Generating capacity is only part of the problem.
The reform process in allowing, let's say, distribution to take its own course, or the reforming of state electricity boards, which are the primary purchasers of electricity, or the transmitting of user charges onto the end consumers so that he who consumes power pays for it, has not happened.
Of the power that does get generated, 25% is lost in transit due to large-scale theft and poor infrastructure. But this can be reduced by attracting private sector investment to improve the distribution network and control the losses.
The other reform has to be done in the area of transmission and distribution, which used to contribute to 40% of India's losses some time ago. Today, it is down to 25%. I think that's a big jump, but it's not enough. This needs to come down even further.
And we have seen a lot of examples, whether it is Bombay, whether it is Ahmedabad, whether it is Bhiwandi, where private players have come in and reduced losses significantly within a matter of 3 to 5 years. So there are two ways to reduce losses. One is to get private players to come in, right, which will reduce the investment of the government and also give them this opportunity to reduce loss. Second is to invest in creating the best network in terms of the right kind of meters, the right kind of conductors, insulators, which ensures that losses get reduced because of pilferage and theft.
In 2006, the Indian government granted several large power projects with over 4,000 megawatt capacity to the private sector through a competitive bidding process. India plans to add 78,000 megawatts of power generation during the 5 years ending March 2012. This will bring billions of dollars of investment by leading equipment majors for manufacturing power generation sets in India.
Only few companies in the world which do EPC, that is engineering, procurement and construction, and also manufacturing. Not only we produce the boiler and turbine, but also the entire range of auxiliaries which are required for boiler and turbine. So we are an integrated manufacturer of whole of range of turbines and boilers. That makes it very comprehensively a single stop solution for any provider, service provider.
India's biggest power equipment maker, state-owned Bharat Heavy Electricals, already has 75% of the market. To meet the increased demand, it is raising its production by 50% to deliver power equipment with a total capacity of 15,000 megawatts a year by the end of this fiscal year.
The new projects will be in the range of 14,000 to 15,000 megawatt per annum, so of thermal capacity. So I think unless we have a capacity of 20,000 megawatt per annum, we cannot service this, and we want to be an international player also. We want to supply to other countries as well. So we are ramping up the capacity to 20,000 megawatt per annum by 2011.
And other Indian companies have their sights on the overseas market as well. Kalpataru Power Transmission is a leading player in the design and construction of transmission lines. It is already targeting 25% annual growth for the next 5 years.
Today, the largest market continues to be India for us because the kind of opportunities in power sector in India are huge. But the international market is also a huge market for us. In the last 3 years, we have grown by approximately 50-60% on the overseas markets. If you look at the overseas markets, the entire African belt is a big market for us. The entire Middle East and GCC, the Gulf countries, is a big market for us. We are also supplying towers right now to Australia, US, and we've also supplied in the past to Canada.
All the players are keen to solve India's power problems. It's important they act quickly. A recent report by McKinsey & Company warns that India's impressive economic growth could be derailed because of its power shortage, with over 40% of the population still living without electricity. This is a powerful incentive for any democracy to provide power to the people.